Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most explosive social debates of our time. It's a conflict that started online but has now spilled over into our schools, our courts, and pretty much everywhere else. I mean, you've seen it, right? Everywhere you look, there's a huge battle raging over these tiny three-letter words like he, she, and they. But here's the thing. This isn't really about grammar. It's a massive clash of worldviews about who we are, what freedom means, and, well, what reality itself actually is. So, to really get a grip on this, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start by looking at this as a war over words. Then, we'll explore the argument for using language as a tool for inclusion. After that, we'll flip the coin and look at the counter-argument, which is all about free speech and shared reality. Then we'll see how this is all crashing together in the real world, and we'll finish by asking a really big question. Is language a tool, or is it a weapon? Okay, let's kick things off with the first major viewpoint in this debate. This is the idea that language isn't some fixed, ancient thing. It's alive, it's part of our culture, and because of that, it has to adapt to be more inclusive and more respectful of everyone's identity. So to really get this perspective, you have to understand this key distinction between sex and gender. Sex is seen as the biological stuff, chromosomes, hormones, that sort of thing. But gender is seen as a social category. It's about how we express ourselves and how society sees us. They're two different things. And this is where the philosopher Judith Butler comes in with a really game-changing idea. Butler called gender performative. The idea is that your gender isn't some deep, fixed thing inside of you. Instead, it's something you construct through all the things you do, day in and day out. It's not what you are, it's what you do. Okay, so if you follow that logic, it leads you right here. If language is part of culture, then of course it has to evolve as culture evolves. And from this viewpoint, using someone's preferred pronouns is way more than just being nice. It's a powerful statement. It's about validating who they are, making society more inclusive, and taking an active stand against discrimination. And here's something that might surprise you. Using the word they to talk about a single person? It's not new at all. In fact, people who support this changing language will point out that it has a super long history. We're talking centuries. Chaucer, Shakespeare, Jane Austen, they all did it. It's been in our literature forever. But, of course, that's not the whole story. Not everyone is on board with this evolution of language. So now let's turn to the other side of the conflict, an argument built not on social inclusion, but on really fundamental principles like freedom of speech and the need for a shared objective reality. A huge part of the resistance to things like pronoun mandates is actually grounded in this legal idea called the Compelled Speech doctrine. It's right there in the U.S. First Amendment, and it basically says the government cannot force you to say things you don't believe. And this is not a new concept. This quote from a Supreme Court case, all the way back in 1943, puts it perfectly. It says that no official, no matter who they are, can dictate what is the correct opinion on things. The government can't just create an official truth and force everybody to repeat it. So from this perspective, the pronoun war is about something much, much bigger than words. As Michael Hanby puts it, it's a battle over who gets to control reality itself. The fear here is that if you can make people use certain language, you're not just changing words, you're forcing them to accept a whole new reality. So when you boil it all down, you've got these two completely different philosophies clashing head-on. One side sees language as a social tool, something that has to evolve to show respect. The other side sees language as a reflection of reality, something that has to be protected from being forced on people. And listen, this isn't just a bunch of people arguing on the internet. This collision of worldviews is having very real, very serious consequences in our schools, in our jobs, and all around the world. Schools have become a huge battleground. I mean, just look at these cases. All across the U.S., you have teachers being disciplined or even fired because they refuse to use a student's preferred pronouns, often citing their own religious or personal beliefs. These are major legal battles. And don't think for a second this is just an American thing. It's a global debate. You have France pushing back against inclusive writing. You have Spain trying to create new gender-neutral words, and in Brazil, the Supreme Court actually struck down laws that would have allowed neutral terms in schools. Everyone is grappling with this. Back in the legal world, the debate is just raging. Law journals like this one are filled with scholars trying to figure out how a classic idea like compelled speech even applies to these very modern fights over pronouns and identity in public life. And at the very same time, you've got these huge institutions that basically shape how we all talk about things. The AP Style book,
which is like the Bible for journalists, is actively writing new rules. It's telling reporters to say sex assigned at birth and is basically framing these new definitions as settled fact.
All of this, the philosophy, the court cases, the cultural shifts, it brings us to the absolute core of the conflict. When you strip everything else away, this entire war really boils down to one fundamental question about what language is even for. So, what is it? Is the main point of language to build a bridge, to create a shared understanding of the world that we all live in? Or has it become an instrument for shaping a new social and political reality? Is it a tool for communication, or is it a weapon in a war to define reality itself? That's a real question here, and that's the one we'll leave with you.